According to the Department of Transportation, road rage takes place when an angry or impatient motorist intentionally injures or kills another motorist, passenger or pedestrian, or attempts or threatens to injure or kill another motorist, passenger or pedestrian.
This is how a minor traffic incident ended with this horrific near-death crash.
It's an accident. It's not worth losing your life about.
Tuesday afternoon in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, we're told two men got into a minor traffic dispute here on McGinnis Boulevard by Norman Avenue. The drivers got out, words were exchanged, and it went downhill from there. According to the victim, the suspect tried to attack him with a knife, then went into the victim's car and stole his car keys. As the suspect tries to escape, you can see the victim desperately try to get his keys back, and that's when this happened.
He got airborne.
It can be likened to any other traffic-related incident by its willful and criminal nature. Thousands are injured every year, and with guns being increasingly at play, with shit getting unnecessarily real while behind the wheel, the death tally is tricky to count up. And nobody knows how many hundreds of thousands of instances of tailgating, passing on the shoulder, failing to yield right of way, flashing high beams, not waiting to merge, changing lanes without signalling, double parking, speeding through a yellow light happens each year either. There's so much more when engaging in driving a weapon among weapons. Texting while driving is becoming an increasingly difficult problem. No, not you, but the possibility of you being upset at seeing someone else do that and consider taking action, and talking shit. Tourists from overseas should get behind the wheel for the full American experience.
Get out of your truck, fucking beat your fucking ass! Get out of your truck, man! Let's go, come on! Look, wanna go? Come on! Let's go! Let's go! Take a fucking video! Take a fucking video, cunt! You fucking whore, bitch cunt! Let's go! Come on! Get the fuck out! Get the fuck out! Let's go! Let's fucking go, kid! That's right, you're a fucking scared ass bitch! Get the fuck out of your truck! You scared ass bitch motherfucker! Get out! Come on, let's go! Get out! Get out of your truck! Get out of your truck!
In 1997, Dr. Leon James, professor of traffic psychology at the University of Hawaii, offered congressional testimony about the subject during a subcommittee on surface transportation and infrastructure. He noted that road rage has deeply human psychological roots, ranging from the innate subconscious tendency towards territorialism which lives inside us all, to our individually accumulated perceptions of the world we live in today. Ask any cab driver who the most annoying motorists on the road are, and it's likely he'll say, other cab drivers. People caught up in road rage typically exchange little more than a vindictive turn of phrase or an inappropriate gesture, but always exciting to news bureaus because of their ability to showcase raw human emotion finally being tapped. Police reports around the world are filled with perpetrators who have figured out how to communicate their many frustrations with award-winning creativity and innovation. Women aren't just bad drivers, they also like road rage. Gina Foster of Alabama died of a gunshot wound to the face after getting out of her car to confront the woman driver that tailgated her. "She spit on me and I killed her," Shirley Henson quipped to the jury. "I always follow too closely." Departments of transportation in nearly every state confess that road crews are frequent victims of road rage, cursed at, spat upon, threatened with guns, because they're stationary, unprotected human targets standing in the open air with nowhere to run. The American Automobile Association has isolated 4 specific character traits which plague today's driving amateur gladiators and stunt drivers. Individuals easily predisposed to anger constitute the most obvious segment of the population. Anger is a momentary flare-up which quickly dies down, but a rapid sequence of hard spikes on one's emotional chart, when left untreated, can lead to perpetual righteous indignation. These drivers get angry at other drivers, whether they move too fast, move too slow, or occupy what the offended considers to be the wrong lane. Everyday traffic occurrences, which are part and parcel of standard merging procedure, can take on a vicious, screaming life of their own. The pedal leads them closer to the repair shop. And do you really have to merge so slowly? Grow a pair, you fucking asshole. If it's not man versus man, or man versus woman, it's man versus society. Everything is moving too slowly. The multi-lane highway is beginning to narrow, and motorists in front of you are still half riding the shoulder. Pick a lane and stick with it, you stupid idiot. Even the passengers in your own car become a reliable source of anger, murderous rage from being told by a spouse or co-worker to just calm down.
Caught on camera. This happened yesterday in Minnesota. Surveillance video caught a car driving fast onto an overpass, slamming into a box truck. The truck narrowly avoided falling onto the highway below. And as you can see here, it ended up bursting into flames. Miraculously, no one was seriously hurt. The driver of the box truck was able to run to safety. State Patrol says they're investigating if the driver of the car was under the influence.
Impatience is the second weightiest matter, and these feelings can be triggered before the car is even in motion. Anticipation of one's monotonous jam during morning traffic manifests itself as a notable tension in the driver's neck and shoulders. He's impatient for his passengers to kiss their stupid wives goodbye and get in the goddamn car, annoyed that he's been put in charge of a carpool. He can already anticipate how bloody fucking awful it's going to be driving his co-workers back home in reverse order 8 or 9 hours from now. Commuters regularly perceive themselves to be so behind schedule that the exhausting length of time it takes for the car engine to warm up is often enough to trigger a burst of adrenaline. The never-ending stream of stop signs at four-way intersections, which follows frustration associated with locating an adequate and free parking space, is a constant irritant of would-be gladiators and stunt drivers, as is watching slow-moving pedestrians as they push their shopping cart and wheelchairs in front of them at crosswalks. Another studied character trait among these everyday champions is their predisposition towards competition. The road becomes a speeding courseway for gaming, in which the act of jockeying for a better position is paramount to achieving an arbitrarily assigned goal. A sense of one-upsmanship can start as simply as a bet with oneself, such as when a clumsy man decides he's going to beat the clock, or best his previous efforts. This time I'll make it to the BQE by 8:25. Other vehicles on the road are turned into chess pieces, plotting retarded pawns to maneuver around and ultimately remove as obstacles. Lane changes are made quickly and with greater attempts at precision. Speed combined with a thumping movie soundtrack make the competitive would-be stunt driver grow increasingly deluded that he's, or she's, actually a trained Hollywood stunt driver on a closed course. Get around the blue car, zip behind the red truck into lane 4, pointless split-second gambles that are made on which lane in front of his or her will open up the fastest, even when there's a toll booth ahead. It is, after all, important to idle in the fastest moving lane, or what some of you overseas call a queue. Dunning-Kruger drivers held hostage by their emotions genuinely believe they're excellent drivers. The fourth most analysed personality trait in a troublesome motorist is also the most recognisable. It's the desire one has to mete out revenge, in all its subtle and classic forms, to other drivers. The need to exact punishment for a perceived injustice, however slight, is a straightforward human quality which extends way beyond the world of the automobile. Even failing to acknowledge a slight act of courtesy can be grounds for a fight. You let someone in, and they don't wave. The impulse to retaliate is the often result of feeling injured or invaded on the road. It can lead to further instances of rage, ranging from repetitive horn honks, screaming at other drivers, or worse. More and more states in our blessed union are passing aggressive driving legislation, much of which is comprised of language so abstract you might think it was part of the Patriot Act. In New York, you can receive a traffic citation for changing lanes or speed in a manner which serves no legitimate purpose. In Nebraska, you can get pulled over for honking their horn repeatedly. In Maryland, drivers who deliberately drive in a discourteous manner are also subject to the same summary action. Road rage incidents are never as alluring, mysterious and sprawling as cold cases, serial killers, spree killers, terrorists, and so on. But some incidents stand out, and one in particular is my favourite. One day in February of 2001, not far from the San Jose airport in California, Sarah McBurnett was driving with her 10-year-old dog named Leo, a Bichon Frise of the same breed which won Best in Show at the Westminster Canine Competition that very year. When little Leo jumped up on Sarah's lap to greet the man, Andrew reached through Sarah's window and grabbed him by the collar. Then he hurled the dog end over end into the freeway, where it was promptly run over by oncoming traffic. Panicked, Sarah exited her car to retrieve Leo, but the dog died on the way to the vet. Andrew, meanwhile, ran back to his car and escaped out into traffic, fleeing the scene. Sarah was left with only a minor description of the suspect and no license plate. The investigation faltered after Sarah failed to pick Burnett out of two separate photo lineups. When the Humane Society offered a reward of $115,000 for information leading to Burnett's arrest, they were inundated with hundreds of tips for months. Ultimately, an anonymous email led police in the right direction. At the conclusion of the 16-month trial, observers in the courtroom burst into spontaneous applause when Burnett was given the maximum sentence, 3 years in prison. "I'm really sorry for what happened," he said. "If there's anything I could ever say or do to bring Leo back, I would." Road rage is always moments away from unfolding into unmitigated violence and consequence whenever you're behind the wheel or even in someone else's car. If there's anything you take away from this, just remember that when you drive for others.